Good evening, everyone. I am so happy and grateful to be here with all of you tonight. This is such an opportunity to get to be right up front with all of you. I'm Kaleem Joy, and I'm a licensed midwife, a certified pediatric massage therapist, and a certified professional midwife. And each Wednesday night on Natural Childbirth 101, I have a live and we talk about pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding, parenting, and life in general. So if this is the first time that you're joining me or you're watching this as a recorded, thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. And I hope this enriches your life and you find more answers, more insight, and the opportunity to parent with greater confidence. Tonight is an awesome topic. I love the idea of exploring the birth of a grandparent. We often all of our talk is all about being pregnant and giving birth and breastfeeding and being a parent to our child. There's also the birth of a grandparent. Now, for myself, I started out obviously having my own child, and when my own child was born, I had made, the lovely bed and sewn all the things that were inside the bassinet. And, it's that thing that says, oh, I have a baby coming and I'm really excited about this. So you have to try the baby out in it, right? So I put him in it, and within moments he started just a little whimper, and I went right over and I just wanted to scoop him right up. I was so excited to have him in my arms, and I thought, why in the world did I ever put him down? Well, my lovely mother, who I adore and has been an amazing person, she said to me, you don't have to pick him up, leave him there, he's okay. And I turned to my mother and I said, who's the parent here, you or me? And I can say for many years I had to learn exactly about who was the parent in many ways, because when we go through pregnancy, we're just learning about being a parent. And we've talked a lot about that in some of our other videos, is about the growth that happens during pregnancy, and then that expands into birth and it goes on into parenting. But our parents have to be born too. And that's kind of what tonight's all about. So in my life, I have the opportunity to have 27 bonus grandchildren. Now, what does that mean? It means those children were born to my partner, and these 27 wonderful grandchildren are from that line. But because I get to be part of their lives, which I absolutely adore, and they are amazing, I get 27 bonus grandchildren, and I love every single one of them. So my opportunity as a midwife was to be at many of their births, because all but 2 of them were born at home. Some of them I was not at because they were out of state and their grandmother went to go attend them, but I stayed home to tend the nest of all the wonderful families that we were serving here. So this opportunity gave me an experience of what's it like to become a grandparent for myself, watching my partner become a grandparent, and of course in all the 1,000 babies that I've been able to be a part of their births. It's been an opportunity to watch grandparents also have to go through birthing themselves. So let's start out with the opportunity to look at, in pregnancy, you go through growth, change, expansion, and you're learning to understand this concept, and you're preparing your mind, and you're going through imagining, ooh, what might that be like when I get to meet my baby? Or I wonder what that'll be like to take them on walks to the park, or what will it be like to watch them go to college? For some partners, that's their thought. How will I handle college? And will I walk with them down the aisle when they get married? And so you go through all of that. Well, as a grandparent, when you find out you're pregnant, your parents also go through a transformation of their own. They come into, ooh, so exciting, just like you. They're going to have a grandchild. Now, we know that all of us come in different emotional excitements, and all of us come from what our childhood and our parenting was like. And as we give a grandparent, especially with their first grandchild, they have never done this before, nor has the parent ever done this before. And we think from a parenting standpoint that our parents have this all figured out. They know how to be grandparents. They don't. They know how to be parents, and you may look at that and say, is that what you want to parent like? Is that style something that you want to mimic? And you might say yes to some and not so much to others. And that's what becoming a new parent is all about, is deciding what those parenting roles are. I'm doing great. Thank you very much for asking. I've had a delightful day today. So when you find out you're pregnant and you show them that lovely little pregnancy test and they go, wow, we're so excited, we get to be grandparents, this is going to be so fun, I'm going to hold the baby, I'm going to take the baby for walks, I'm going to be at their graduations, and I'm so excited that I get to do X, Y, and Z, because they've been a parent and now their child is growing up and becoming a parent, and that's you. That's not something they've ever parented before. So it's important, you as the child who is now growing into becoming a parent, that your parents give you the opportunity to become a parent. And this is also one of their roles at becoming the birth of a grandparent, is learning to let go of feeling that they need to parent you on everything that you do in parenting. And some of you may have had experience with this before. Some of you may not have. Some of you may have parents that this is not their character. They're totally fine to let you do your job. And then some that really want that experience again because they loved being your parent when you were young. They are so excited about you being able to come into parenting and to have that baby, and they're so excited to be involved in it and really support you. So we have the ones that are not so sure that this is, something they want to do a lot of. We have those that are, I'm super excited and I'm here to support you in whatever decisions that you make, and if I can help, then ask me. And then there are those who are, I'm going to do everything. I can't wait till I get to watch the baby. I can't wait to babysit. I can't wait to do these things. And grandparents, we love you. I am one. I know it. What we need is to be able to understand from both sides of the coin that there is growth that has to take place. And what I find in telling families is, especially as it comes into pregnancy and birth, and for those of you that might be making decisions about using midwives or birth centers or even not having medications in a hospital setting, you might have feedback from parents, and that feedback sometimes may not be in the same alignment that you are planning your progression in pregnancy, your care providers, and the birth that you have planned, and even breastfeeding, even not circumcising or circumcising, whatever it is. So it's helpful to begin developing a relationship with one another, where if you as the parent are growing in your understanding of natural birth and you're planning a natural birth wherever it might be, that your parents, if they have objections to that, the very first thing is not to say, oh, they don't support me. It's to say, you know what? I know you're saying that because you love me. I know you're saying that because that's what you want, is for me to be safe, you want me to make good educated decisions, and you want me to be a great parent, and I want to thank you for that. Coming into becoming a parent, it means that I have to have the ability to make my choices and decisions based on what is best for me. And how do I know that? Well, some of it comes from within us, and the other has come from the things that I've studied. So we've always said, if we have a parent we have a grandparent that's a bit uncomfortable with the decisions of having a baby at home or a birth center, that we say it's a lack of education that's happening. Because some parents, some grandparents may have had situations when they birthed that there was a lot of problems, complications. Maybe they had an early baby, maybe they had cesareans, maybe they had a lot of blood pressure issues or sugar issues, whatever it might be. And having those can sometimes set up the pattern of the fear, worry, concern that comes with you being pregnant as now their child, and wanting you to have everything that you can possibly have to prevent any problems with things. Again, you come from gratitude and love that they're doing that because that is what they want best for you. So what I recommend is 2 things. 1, they read. And sometimes with some grandparents, you have to say, I know you love me and I'm so grateful for that. I need you to educate yourself so that we can have conversations that are coming from knowledge and not just from the experience that you may have had. So Ina May's Guide to Childbirth, I mentioned that week before last. I was in Florida last week. Ina May's Guide to Childbirth is a great, all-inclusive, just say, I need you to read this. Then we will be able to have a better conversation about why I'm making the choices I want to have. Second to that is, if you're having a baby at home or in a birth center, it's really helpful to bring your family to the midwife and let them meet them, because once they meet them and they're able to ask their questions and the midwife is able to reassure them, show their professionality, show their knowledge and competency, understand the equipment that's coming, they all of a sudden say, well, either I'll tell you, many of them are like, I wished I had known. We hear that all the time. I wished I had known better. Some say, well, it wouldn't be my choice, but I understand better why you're making that choice. And it's really to be able to say, I need your support, even if you don't approve, because I don't need your approval on this, but I need your support. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to communicate during the pregnancy. And I want you to know this can be a hard conversation to have with some grandparents. Here's the reason why it's important during the pregnancy to sit down with love and have that conversation. It's to open up the opportunity now for your grandparent to begin understanding who the parent is. But it's also about developing a communication with each other. Because later on, after the baby's born, remember your parents have had experience. Their experience may be different than yours. And sometimes with some parents, we're like, I don't want to hear it. I don't like what you did, or I know you're always trying to tell me things to do, and I don't want to hear it, because we're being the child again, instead of a parent who wants to listen to an elder who may have some worthwhile information. When my son was born in 1988, and we went through that little scenario the first day, I had some resistance towards things, because I thought, I'm not going to parent the same way. These are the things that I'm going to do. And what I realized in the long term was I spent too much opportunity trying to keep it away, instead of saying, let me listen to what she's got to say, and then evaluate how that would, if that really fits in my parenting style, and if that fits for this child, and if it fits for what we're doing in our parenting. Now, grandparents, here's a big FYI for you. You want to open the doors of communication. It can be very quickly palms up, I don't want to hear, or tuned out, or I hear you, but I'm not going to do anything about it. If we feel like they have to do what we say. If we're saying, well, why don't you do this? Why aren't you following what I have to say? Because frankly, they have to be a parent. So we get to learn. The birth of a grandparent is learning better communication with our children. And ultimately, we will have better relationships with our grandchildren too. Case in point. Some families really want a natural lifestyle for their children. It means no plastic toys, no battery operated, only natural fibers, and these types of things. And we have a parent who is so excited about the bells and whistles at the store and whatever they can find that's in polyester and etc. These two won't work well together, right? And sometimes it's like, oh, thank you, and it gets shoved in the drawer and they never wear it, or they don't play with it. So it's helpful as a grandparent to listen to what their philosophy is and ask them questions. Say, tell me why this is important to you. And sometimes it's being able to say, show me the catalog that I can have things that I can get for you that you love, because grandparents love to dote on their grandchildren. Most of them do. And it's a joy and an excitement to again have that opportunity with a young child that's not theirs, that they get to enjoy and love, and then, you know, they pass them back based on, you know, what age that they're at, right? So grandparents, open up doors of communication. Children or parents that you're becoming, open up the doors of communication and begin a transition in your life, that if communication hasn't been easy and you've always felt like you had to do what your parents said, you're becoming the parent now. And you want to be a grown-up parent who can talk well with your own parent, your grandparent that's there. So that begins that transition. Because when children come and they are born, grandparents want to hold them. Why? One, there's a little piece of them in that child. Because you as a parent, unless you've done this through donor surrogacy, right? There's a little bit of your parent, your mother, who was inside, you were inside her, and the eggs that you were growing when you were inside her, there's a little bit on a genetic basis that this child is part of. And somewhere in them, they can't articulate this, but they know this. Plus, they love you, which means they love the child even more, and they are excited about spending time with them. So when we do births at home, we help families to understand how important it is that grandparents are respectful of the space of the child. And here's an example. We had a birth, and we had family coming over, and we had a grandparent that was very excited about this new baby and came right in within an hour and a half after the baby was born, and just literally scooped the baby up out of the mother's arms without asking, can I hold the baby? May I hold the baby? Without understanding the respect that even though you as the pregnant person have been carrying this baby, it doesn't mean that your arms aren't so excited to finally hold it, right? And your partner needs time to hold baby. So this well-meaning grandparent came in, scooped up the baby, started holding the baby, and was holding the baby for probably an hour. And the challenge was that this birth giver did not know how to ask for the baby back. So this is another piece of communication that I really encourage you to form, and that is when those babies are first born, and even till you're ready for them to hold them more, say to them, I'm excited about sharing this baby with you, and I know you love this baby so much. I need time to really embrace this baby on the outside world, and this baby's going to do a tremendous amount of time breastfeeding all the time. And just because I've had the baby, I need time too, but I want you to come and bond with the baby, because the grandparents are truly the best friend you have. They're the one person in your life, for the most part. I realize that not all of us have parents, grandparents that are in this category, but there's usually someone in your category, whether it's an aunt or someone like that, that they will be one that will be willing to babysit for you later on. They will be the one that's excited to come and sit and play with them. They will be the ones, because they're the ones that are most connected to this child, like you. So what we've said to family is, explain to your family that they can come, they can see the baby, but they won't be holding the baby for at least 2-4 days a week. Now, if you have a grandparent that's just not going to fly with, then what you do is you say, I'm so excited to share this baby with you. Come, sit down right by my side. I don't feel like I can let the baby go too much further. I'm so excited to have them, but I want you to meet them. That says to them, you understand, you get it, and you invite them in, but you sit them right next to you. And as you sit there, you put the baby in their arms and you say this to them: I want you to know, I don't know how long I can let you hold the baby right now, but as the days go by, I know that's going to get more and more, and I'll be taking my showers and wanting to eat and so excited that you're here to give this baby lots of love. Because that's what grandparents want to know, that you know that they're there because they love you and they want to love this child, and they want to feel that you feel safe with them too. So bring them in, cuddle them up close, tell them that you need them to stay by your side, and guide them that things will get more and more once you get accustomed to one another a lot. Thank you. Then as the days go by, they will feel so much better about asking. And always help parents to know, please ask me if you want to hold the baby. If I feel like I just am not ready to do that right now, come and sit down by me. They have cute little feet that you can touch and love. And it has nothing to do with the fact that I don't want you to hold them. I want you to hold them. I just need my time first. And I'm so thankful that you're going to respect that. Now I get not every grandparent receives that in the same way, so put it in words that work for you. But be okay to establish a foundation of your parenting. And grandparents, the one key I can tell you is ask. Always ask before you ever take a baby out of a parent's arms. And let them know. You just say it, and I'll put the baby right back in your arms, and I'm going to stay right by your side. Now, after a few weeks, that doesn't always have to be the case. But in the beginning, it's like an invisible umbilical cord is still attached to you. And those umbilical cords, the furthest that they go is 3 feet. So we always say, even to partners, the baby has to stay within the room the mother's in, and preferably within 3 feet of them. Why? Because your umbilical cord in your heart starts feeling like it's been stretched way too far when your baby is too far away from you. And that's just normal. So if any of you have felt that before, it's normal. If you're birthing in a hospital setting, you have had people who have taken a baby to a warming table, or even possibly to a nursery where you or your partner went with them. You've been separated from your baby a little bit further. So it's important to understand that I want you to reattach that mindset, that once that initial over to the warming table thing happens, that baby stays within 3 feet of you. Unless there's a problem, of course, right? But if they need to do vitals, if they need to listen to baby, if they need to do something to check baby, baby is done on your lap. Baby is done in your arms. Everything can be done right there. And when you do that, you maintain that you are the parent, and you don't feel like you have to let go of that to hospital staff. And it really helps to maintain that connection the way you need to, because what I find is sometimes you go home and it's like, oh, of course you can hold the baby because other people have held your baby. And in honesty, no one else should be holding your baby but you, your partner, and your immediate family. Siblings, of course, is wonderful. They're part of that immediate family. So be able to be a good advocate on that level. Make sure your baby is never alone in a hospital without you or your partner, because they don't know the world away from you. They really don't. Okay, let's see if I covered everything, and then we're going to go see some of your comments. You've had some beautiful comments coming in. Thank you so much. All right, let's see. Did we get down here? Yes. Let's make sure. Right, yep, they need help to be able to let go and let you be the parent. So when I was talking about communication, it's having that open door. The more you can have an open door with each other, the more you will be able to communicate about things and understand how to develop that parenting. Because as a grandparent, sometimes you look and you say, I really think that they could do a better job. Well, sometimes they need a lot of love and encouragement. And sometimes they need that, may I offer you some insight into things that I used or into things that I've read? And then you get a permission that says, yeah, I'd love to hear that. But as a grandparent, you also have to be able to say, but I have to understand if they choose not to do that. Now, obviously, if you see things that are safety hazards, those have to be brought up. But I dare say anybody who's on my lives, usually that's not an issue with things. All right, let me look and see these beautiful comments that you left, and let's just take a gander at what we've got going. Oh, I just love seeing all of you on here. That just makes my day so good. My mother needs help and assistance. Well, most do, just so you know. It's because, like I said, the birth of a grandparent is as new for them. And I want you to know that even if they've had grandkids with other of your siblings, it's new for them with you. Even if you've had 3 kids and now you're having a 4th, it's still new. And there may be some things that you want to correct in that, right? So next week, because I had one of you that said, thank you for doing this topic. Yeah. Next week, I'm going to do a little bit more on being a grandparent as it really relates to prenatal care and to your birth. That's a real important part of it, as well as your breastfeeding, kind of diving in a little more extensively. This is kind of the overview. Lack of knowledge, definitely. First, the mother and the baby need skin-to-skin contact, and she needs time to connect and bond emotionally with the baby. Absolutely, that's always the importance, even before the partner really gets a good snuggle, right? And sometimes in some situations, especially like in a cesarean, the dad's usually, or the partner is usually the one that gets all the snuggle time pretty quick. Fortunately, they're getting babies near moms even in an operating room, but when you get back to the recovery room, it's like skin to skin on the breast, leave the baby there, and really get your snuggle times if that was a situation. Thank you. I so appreciate your encouragement. You just explained everything so beautifully and patiently, ma'am. Just loving it. You're so sweet. Hi, Christy. I had wonderful midwives who was also my mother, who helped me to feel empowered for me and my husband to be the only ones to hold our first child for a full 2 weeks. Yes, and that's actually one of the rules in our family, is that we do not ask to hold babies. We wait until a mother, a birth giver, offers to allow us to hold their babies. And I'll tell you, to be the midwives for the family and then to do all the postpartums and everything, it's about all we can do some days, but it is a core within us. Now, as I said, there are certain times when bringing that grandparent in next to you and saying, I want to share this baby with you. I don't know how long I can have you hold them before I want them back and snuggled in my arms, but I want you to meet them. And thank you for understanding and always asking me, those things are really important. And I think when you can really respect that as a grandparent, the parents learn very quickly that they want to trust you, that you respect them as a parent. And when they feel that, they're more likely to come to you and ask for suggestions, ask for ways to do certain things, ask for what did you do. That's what we've seen. I would love to have a conversation with you. That's always a wonderful thing. You can certainly email me and we can have a conversation, as well as more conversations from there. It's KaleemJoyMidwife@gmail.com, and you're welcome to send me an email. So let's start bringing some questions in, all right? I'd love to hear from some of you about questions about this or other things, of course. That's usually what we do at the end. I think some of the best opportunities I've had with some grandparents, as you're getting your questions ready for me, is some grandparents have really taken good care of their new parent children. And the best way that they can is to make sure that there are meals there, that their laundry is folded and done. It's the things, it's like you think, the baby is really what I want. You know, as a grandparent, I really want to sit and hold and really cuddle and be with this baby. But the help that's best for these families is really about being there and providing food, making sure the house keeps running, laundry, and when there are other children, it's keeping up with these other little ones and making sure that they're doing well, because then that means that the birthing parent is resting. They're resting, they're taking care of the baby, they're getting that time to really, what we call lie in, you know, that time to really heal and do better, and their milk comes in good. They have much better mental dispositions, the baby is doing better. And, you know, right now we've had, you know, this virus that's gone around, and we've had a lot less families in big gatherings. Some births that I've been to, there's a big family gathering because that's just how their family does it. You know, all the cousins and the aunts and the grandparents, they're all over to the house within 2 hours. And although that's challenging sometimes, it's what's normal for their family. And the birth giver knows this and loves them. And they all respect that they're not going to hold the baby. So that's the other side of it. They all know that. And they just want to see the baby, celebrate with them, and they're so happy that everyone is good. And then they bring donuts. And everybody has donuts for that time. What are your thoughts on a natural birth? Birthing in nature. Well, I've had some births like that. And it kind of depends on where you want to be and who's going to be there with you. Birthing out in nature, it's beautiful. I've seen, you know, various videos of things of that nature, everything from the Black Sea to the rainforest, and you know, people who live in literal villages, you know, they birth in a hut, or sometimes they birth outside under a tree. There's certain things to be aware of. Temperature, obviously, you want a baby to do well. You want to be able to have things so that you have places to rest and you're not walking long distances, because that can feel like a lot after a birth. Birthing in nature, I've had one that was in a birth tub way out in her garden. It was challenging on the logistics of it all, but it was a beautiful birth at night for her with a campfire nearby. I've had one that birthed in a small little, like, 3-sided tent in a birth tub outside in a campground before. We've had a baby born in the car, which is not planned. But you know, I think it's something that nature is beautiful, and nature is a place to enjoy and rejoice with. If you want to birth, just make sure that your environment feels safe, that you feel like you can have what you need as far as places to be, places to sit, places to stand, where you would lay down, how you would get back into your home and be able to rest with your baby, and having the care provider there and their comfort with it. So that's what I would say. Quick question. What would you recommend for sciatic pain? I love that one. Many years ago, I used to teach classes for Kaiser, and I had lots of women that were complaining of sciatica. And one woman, one birth giver, was put on narcotics, actually codeine, because the pain was so bad. And I thought, that's terrible for her. What can I do? Well, I happened to have known an orthopedic surgeon, and I said to him, so I've got women that are having a lot of sciatica. What can they do as far as stretches or other things that might relieve that? So he showed me a very quick stretch that stretches out the piriformis, which is a muscle that is attached in your buttocks, okay? That some people, their sciatic nerve goes between some muscles and some go over. And if you happen to be one that's between, sometimes it can get pinched a little more easily. So the other is leaning or wearing high heels, where it pushes your center of gravity forward. That makes that muscle tighten. and that causes, in order to not let you fall over, all right? So what you do is, if you have a bed that's a little bit, whatever height your bed is, you want to take your leg, and you want to stand up against the side of your bed. You want to bring one leg up and make it so that it curls so that your foot is next to your other hip. So you literally lay your leg down like this onto the bed, okay? And then what you do is you take a nice big deep breath and you breathe out as you're leaning forward. Now, the bigger your belly gets, the little bit harder this gets, so there's an alternative way to do that. But you lean forward and you're going to feel it in your buttocks. And wherever you feel it, that's where you want to breathe, and you want to stretch and allow that to stretch. And I personally do that every night before I go to bed, and usually after any activity that I do. And this, for the birth giver that was on the codeine, within a week she was off the codeine, and I went, sold, done. I love that one. That one is in my series that will be coming out very shortly. And you can also do it as your belly gets bigger, or if that's not as easy for you, is to lay down in bed excuse me, and put a pillow up underneath you a little bit, and it's best not to be totally flat if you're getting up over 20 weeks. And what you do is you bring one leg up, okay? You cross the leg over, wait a minute, you bring both legs up, there we go. Take one leg and cross it over the other, and put your arms through and pull that knee towards you, and you'll feel it in your buttocks also. So that's for sciatica, and that you do it, if I were you, I'd do it every morning and night. If it's really bad, you do morning, noon, and night. It doesn't take you longer than about 2 minutes to do, but it stretches out that piriformis muscle, and it really helps. All right, let's see what we've got here. When are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on natural birth? I mean, birthing in nature. Okay, we did that one. Whoops, sorry, Facebook. And I want to go down and see how our Facebook. With acupuncture, they can start contractions. What is your thought about acupuncture? So acupuncture is meant to balance the body. When the body's out of balance, it's meant to balance it. So if you're having something out of balance, it'll do that. When it comes to going into labor, if the body is out of balance, then if labor is getting close enough, then doing acupuncture could stimulate the labor to come. And many people use that if they're going overdue, for instance. If you have high blood pressure, if you're having swelling, if you're having headaches, many people use acupuncture as a solution to keep that down, because it balances the body again. It balances all of the energy of how it's working. So acupuncture is great. You know, I do not feel that acupuncturists will start labor unless labor was meant to start, because the body does not have all of the pieces that are put together at that point to let that orchestra really play, all right? They also know to stay away from certain places that are specific for that, which is usually in the ankles and a few other spots. We have a very warm day today. All right, let's see here. I'm going to go down to Facebook here and let's see. Yes, Dawn, I agree. We're going to have a good time with that. Hopefully we can get Allison on. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. My question did not make sense. What is your thought about acupuncture helping induce those contractions? There we go. I think it's great. Acupuncture often can be a real good source, again, for getting out all of those blocks and getting everything to want to run like it needs to. And acupuncture is a good tool to use. Acupuncture, acupressure, you can use some of those spots that way. Of course, all of our other tools, the black cohosh, the homeopathics, castor oil, and etc. But yes, acupuncture is a great option for starting labor on purpose. Good clarifying of your question. Thank you for that. Is it possible for twins to be delivered in nature? Of course it is. Remember, birth can happen anywhere, right? We know that. We know that. It can happen in the car. It can happen at the store. It can happen on the sidewalk. I was going through the feed, And I happened to see the midwife got there, but the family was outside next to the car and the baby was born. You know, that's the thing. I don't know if you can see my little sign up here, but it says babies come out. They come out if they're coming out, with or without anybody there. So can you have a set of twins in nature? Of course you can. Is there more things to consider about having twins? Absolutely. Part of that is, what way are the twins coming? Are they in the same sac? Are they in separate sacs? What are the risk factors to both of them? And bleeding. We know we have a bigger site of placenta, whether it's 2 placentas, whether it's 1 big placenta. We know that there is more risk of bleeding, so we want to be sure that we can manage that well. But it's really, if you have full-term babies, 1 or 2 full-term babies, sure, they can be born outside. Now, how often does that happen? In America, probably not very often. In other countries where it's more common to have babies in nature, then that probably happens more often, I find that many birth givers in a society like in the United States often want to cave, meaning they want their private space. Now, if you were out someplace where that private space you knew was, acres, and you didn't have to worry about animals or things like that, because that is one other consideration. If you're really, really out someplace, number one, you have no way to get emergency help if you needed it. So that would be not my recommendation. But you have animals, and animals have very good noses. They have very good sense of smell, and they smell things that are coming. And birth is one thing that does have a particular type of smell to it, and especially once there's blood, right? Or placenta, where we know there's blood and we know there's an organ. If you were really out, let's say really out there, you've gone packing up into the high hills, animals may be attracted, and that is a danger, right? That's a danger for you, it's a danger for your baby, and etc. So it's being wise about where you would be in nature, and if there are things that would be a consideration for other animals to cause a problem for you, as well as being able to say, if we did need emergency help, how would we get to it? And I had one baby born that was down a big, long 30, 40-minute dirt road, and I said, if we have a problem, we need a contingency plan. So the contingency plan was to bring life flight in. Now that's a lot to orchestrate. All right, we didn't need it, fortunately, but we had to decide where would they land, how would they land. I needed her to communicate that to them so that if we had to have an emergency issue, we had a plan in place, because that road wasn't going to make it. Okay, so hopefully that gives you more insight. Babies are babies. Provided they're, at term, so that you don't have a premature baby coming too. Or should your body be left alone and letting your body do what it has to do? Oh, as far as the acupuncture, have acupuncture. If you're not going to force your labor if it's not ready to start. All you're going to do is create balance in your body, and that helps you to feel better, helps your body work better. There's no reason. It's like a chiropractic adjustment. Acupuncture, it's balancing the body. It's taking homeopathics, it's balancing the body. So don't ever worry about having acupuncture if you're getting close to term, that somehow, if I go have the acupuncture, maybe I'll push the labor at 40 weeks and maybe the baby didn't want to come yet today. The baby's not going to come if it's not ready, okay? All right. Yeah, just trust your body. All right, thanks. Let's see. That's a wonderful answer, sciatic problem. Yeah, it's a good one. It has worked well, and you are most welcome. Thank you so much. Like always, such a help. Thank you. It is a joy of mine. What is your thought about taking kelp as a supplement during pregnancy? Taking red raspberry tea, can it start giving you some cramps? So kelp is fine. It is a support to thyroid. And if you're taking just, a couple capsules a day, that's a nice support. Nothing wrong with that. As far as can red raspberry give you cramps? So we know that red raspberry is a uterine toner, and I've used it from the beginning of pregnancy for years with maybe one person. I said, you know, theoretically, I've heard from herbalists that sometimes red raspberry could make the uterus work more, so let's take you off of it just because you're having a lot of activity. But I mean, out of that many babies, I've only done that once, maybe twice, and that was just a hypothetical, saying let's just, for the sake of it, maybe you're more sensitive to it because I've heard that, but that has not been my experience with that herb at all. I love it. It does a great job. But that being said, if you start having cramps, stop. Stop using it until you are over your 12 or 14 week mark, and then start using it again, because it is very nourishing to you. All right, let's see. That was an amazing answer. You're so welcome. You are so sweet. I don't know who you are, but you are very sweet. What is your thought on macrosomia pregnancy? So I did a live. You can go back and find it on big babies and what I have to say about those. Macrosomia, it's like, that's a nice big word for a nice big chunky healthy baby. I feel like babies that are in the 9 to lower 10s, if this is not because there's been a blood sugar issue or anything like that, these are nice healthy babies. We have those size babies all the time at home. Most babies are closer to what they would diagnose as gestational, where it's like 8 pounds 8 or 8 pounds 13 is kind of that magic number. And I think more babies are born between 8.5 and 9.5 pounds to 10 than not. Now that's going to vary based on where you live, what the diets are like, and etc. So macrosomia for me has got to be a baby that's getting up into the 11-pound range, not the 10-pound range. Unless this is a pregnancy that I have seen, that it's like, I know we've got some blood sugar problems, we're working towards keeping that baby at a reasonable level and watching over them using supplements to maintain the diet and the body to make sure that we keep a baby under reasonableness. But I've had babies that are 11 and 12 pounds, and you know, they're not gestational, they're big babies. But I want you to know it's better to have the 8-9 pound babies. 10 might be your norm, I don't know, but it depends on where you're defining macrosomia, okay? So that's a relative term as well. All right, let's see, but great question, by the way. I heard kelp helps with exposure to radiation, is that true? Well, that's a good question. I honestly don't know. I know that it nourishes the thyroid, and you know, sometimes we think that radiation affects thyroid on that level, but I don't know. I had not heard that before. All right, so let's see. 36 weeks right now, and a few days away from 37. So I would say to you, enjoy the acupuncture. If you love it, go for it. It's only going to keep you balanced and feeling good. If you have a baby at 37 plus weeks, that's because the baby wanted to come, not because the acupuncture did that to you. The acupuncturists are smart. They don't want to do anything that's going to encourage something that they shouldn't encourage. They're smart. All right, let's see. No more over there. Wonderful. And how exciting that you're almost in your birth window. That's so cool, right? So cool. All right. And let's see. But in India, macrosomia pregnancy is treated as some problem. That's where you are. Okay. So in some countries, the size of a baby may have relativity, okay? And because of that, the normal size of babies might be 6 to 8 pounds. Whereas you get up to a 9-pound baby and it's like, whoa, that's huge for where you live. Now, remember that some of that depends on diet, on health, and also on the genetic makeup. We often will see in certain cultures that if they are tinier by genetic people, they normally have smaller babies, and that's normal. In other words, if they were doing an ultrasound and they were doing that on a person that their genetic makeup means that they should be having roughly about a 6-pound baby as an average, 6 to 7, then you have another person whose genetic makeup says, oh, I have 7 to 8-pound babies, and another genetic that says, hi, I'm this ethnicity and our babies are always 9 to 10 pounds. You can't look at that across the board. So what I would say is, what is the sequelae for that diagnosis? Okay? And sometimes it means blood sugar check, sometimes it means induction, and that's really tricky. So it's being able to say, look at your genetic history. What is the cultural genetic history of the babies that you have? Is there any gestational diabetes going on? And if so, really watch your diet. Lots of protein, lots of vegetables, keep the fruit juices away, no sodas, and keep the carbs down a bit in order to keep the baby at a reasonable level. So do you know what they are terming as a macrosomic baby, what that upper level is? Let's see if you do. See what comes. Good. Okay. There we go. I love our Wednesday nights. Missed you last week. Thank you. Hope you have a great rest of your week and enjoy your 4th of July. Thank you for answering our questions and making that time you invest in us, Kim. You know, Kim, thank you so much for being here tonight and for giving that moment of gratitude and that wish to me. I'm so thankful for that. And I just so want everyone, every single day, to remember how grateful we are for our life and everything that we have today and always. And I'm so thankful for that. So thank you so much. So I think we're going to close up. That was a good segue to that. And say, remember as a grandparent that they have to give birth to themselves, and it is a new way of becoming a grandparent. Be patient with them, open the doors of communication, and really understand who is becoming the parent, which is the birth giver. Open those doors of communication and be able to help each other grow into a fuller relationship as child and parent, because now you're going to be a parent too, right? All right, so last week was delightful. I spent the time with my mom, who is an amazing person, and I got to swim in the ocean, swim in the pool. I got nice and crispy, and I had a great time there. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to work out the internet, which I was hoping for. So thank you for your patience and coming back to see me this week. So next week we're going to continue grandparenting, but we're going to dive into the pregnancy and the birth with greater detail. So invite those grandparents to come on back, all right? And be sure to share it with them if I've said some things tonight that would be supportive to you or to them in your story. Thank you. Thank you. So go in, hug your children. And remember, if you don't have children and they're in your belly, hug your belly, or hug the children of the world, because they can always use more love. Remind them that they are amazing and that they can do anything they set their minds to. If you would like to be part of my pilot project for the online education series that's coming up the end of this month or the first of next month, please email me and I'm happy to put you on that, which gives you free access to the entire series in exchange for giving me some feedback. KaleemJoyMidwife@gmail.com. Thank you so much again this week, and I hope you have a fantastic week. And I will see you next week right here. Bye for now.